What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Boxcar Cove. Let's fish that. So this is a new location for me at Lake Mead, one that I haven't fished previously. Likewise, I have never caught any bass from Lake Mead, whether it be smallmouth, largemouth, striped bass or white bass. So seeing how I'm at a new spot, gonna try some lures, throw them around and see if I can't get my first bass from Lake Mead. Let's see how it goes. So tried with swim baits, tried with jigs, didn't get any bites on any of those. Got some bites on some little worms, but they all seem to go for the tail and are nowhere near the hook so I couldn't get a hook set on any of them. So just to try and get my morale up a bit, coming all the way out here and not catching anything, I am going to rather switch to some little pinched crawlers and see if I can get any of the small bluegill or sunfish I see swimming around the reeds and stuff like that. Let's see if we can get any. Alright guys, in my search for even small sunfish, I have come up with nothing. Had lots of bites, but just couldn't hook anything. So I'm afraid to say I got skunked today. Well, let's head back to the car, pack everything up. Maybe next time I'll get something from Lake Mead. Not today. Terrible day fishing, but it was a good day for learning. But to explain this to you, I first need to explain to you my understanding of what fishing is and how it works. So to me there are four main categories, and I believe everything with fishing falls into one of these four. First one being knowledge, second one being skill, and then the third one being gear, and the last one being luck. Knowledge to me is understanding what type of fish are in a certain body of water that you are trying to fish, and doing research and understanding what type of lures or baits people use to catch those fish, as well as understanding habitats and the way the fish act. Are they in deep waters? Are they moving shallow? Are they hiding under cover? All these things to me form part of your knowledge base. Skills, on the other hand, is something you have to train in and improve on. So if I can use one small part in the film we just saw just to explain this to you, you'll see we have lots of grass on the outside and then some submerged grass under the water, and then this little open hole. So casting into this hole, I missed the first few times, ending up on the grass later on in the deeper water, getting snagged on the submerged grass, stuff like that. But after a bit of throwing around and improving my skill set on throwing a little weightless bobber into that open space, get into a better spot. The next one I want to talk about is luck. Right, so luck is self-explanatory. However, it's a bit different in fishing. Okay, so what I mean by luck is two people fishing the same bait in the same spot. One guy catches, one guy doesn't. But what I want to point out in this luck portion, if we go back to the picture that I just showed you about the little hole in the grass, getting into that hole the first time, as you saw in the video, nothing really happened. Okay, about 5 minutes later, cast into the exact same spot, and even before I could reel in the slack on my line, that bobber just went underwater, gone. By the time I could try and get a hook set, the fish already left it and it just floated back up. This is what I mean with luck. There is a certain sense where you're in the right place at the right time at the right moment. The fish are moving around. That fish is not necessarily at that point at that particular time, but a few seconds later it comes by and it's at the right place, right spot, and you have a much greater sense of luck then. The last one is gear, and this is where I want to get in, because gear is something that I thought isn't that important. I mean, a rod's a rod. Getting a lure out there is more important than what you are using to get the lure out there. In this session, I actually learned how wrong I am about this assumption that gear is not important. If we take a look at the gear I was using for trying some worm lures, you'll see that the rod I'm using is a basic, very soft, very bendable rod. So a soft bendable rod, what that does is when you hooked a fish, this tends to bend and just keeps the fish hooked, keeps the tension on there, keeps that hook in place. Whether the fish is thrashing around or jumping out of the water, a bendable rod tends to keep better pressure on that fish, keeping the fish hooked. Now the line I was using on this rod is normal monofilament line. Reason I was using this is I got this at a very good price, very cheap, and being a budget fisherman, that was quite enticing to me to buy a cheaper line. This was a few cents to get a whole reel of this monofilament line. Now monofilament line is a very stretchable line. The setup I was using here would have been perfect for something like trout. They have soft mouths, easy for the hook to tear through there. Having a rod that bends and stretchable line means that should the fish move around, that hook kind of stays pinned there. There's a lot more pressure on that fish. If you have a stiff rod, if that fish jumps, the rod comes up, you lose all the pressure on the fish, hook pops out, stuff like that. When trying worm fishing, however, the problem was setting the hook. On a bendable rod, you have to put a lot more pressure in there to send the pressure to the hook. And likewise, having stretchable line, this further complicated my fishing experience. Now, I had one fish hooked, it was about a pound, pound and a half. And as soon as I got it up to the top, it just saw me and just spit out the lure. Meaning that the hook set was never good enough, never penetrated deep enough to get through the mouth of the bass. So, important thing to learn about this is the gear you're using does make big difference. If I had braid on there, which is a lot stiffer, I might have actually hooked a fish rather than just getting these little bites and being disappointed and not catching anything. So using different lures on the same rod and line setup is not ideal. At the moment, it's all that I can do, as I only have a few selection of rods. So I will be looking at what I have and how to better use them, target different fish, and once I have a bit more funds available, I would start buying different rods, different reels, different line for each different style of fishing. Alright, so I hope you guys learned something from this. I know I've learned a lot from this. Still haven't got my bass from Lake Mead yet, but I'm pretty sure that all those I mentioned, the white bass, striped bass, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, I will get some of them out of Lake Mead. I promise you that one. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me if you guys ever experienced any other problems with the gear that I'm not aware of yet. Help inform me, grow my knowledge. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, it helps out my channel. Hit like, this makes sure that other people also see my videos. And then I'll see you guys next time.